Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time since I posted. Obviously, we've had our baby, and if you follow me over on Instagram, you know what gender the baby is. But here is Isaac Michael. It's a baby boy. I was completely surprised. All the boy stuff was at the very bottom of the diaper bag when we went into the birth center because I was so confident that this was going to be a girl. I was very wrong. He was born on Valentine's Day, which was also not what I was expecting. That was one day that I told Hunter that I did not want to have a baby, but as I was getting more and more past due, I just wanted him out. I did not care what day he came. So he was 11 days past my due date. I was due on February 3rd, and I wanted to share my birth story with you guys. I did not record a lot of vlogging during the birth process because after thinking about it, I just wanted that to remain more of an intimate moment. I did record a little bit of it for Aria to watch because she was curious as to what the process was, and she wasn't going to be able to come with us to the birth center, so I did record some for her. But I'll show you some pictures and stuff throughout this video of whenever he was born, because he is now 5 weeks old, so he is pretty big compared to when he was first born. But yeah, anyway, let's go back to the beginning of this story. I'm gonna go back to when I was like 39 weeks pregnant. I assumed that I was going to have him early. Like, I was drinking all the red raspberry leaf tea, I was eating like a million dates a day. I was doing all of the things that I thought would bring him here sooner, but that obviously did not happen. And whenever I hit my due date, and I was starting to get nervous because this was my third baby. Aria came 4 days before her due date. She was induced because I had high blood pressure. And then with Malachi, I went into labor on my own. My water broke on his due date, and he came on his due date. So I was not expecting to go past due, especially with a third pregnancy. Whenever the weekend came of Valentine's Day, so Valentine's Day was on a Monday, so Saturday I had some contractions overnight, and then I got really excited. Sunday morning they were gone, but I was like, no, these contractions are not gonna go away. I'm not letting this happen. So I got out my breast pump and I started to use that to try to see if that would kickstart labor. And it kickstarted contractions for sure. The contractions that came after I started pumping were really intense. And I pumped 5 minutes on one side, 5 minutes on the other side for about a half an hour. And then I would rest for an hour, and then I would do it again. So a half hour every hour for like 3 hours, and then I stopped. And then my contractions were super intense. So I called my midwife, asked her advice, and she said, stop pumping and see if the contractions continue. So that was Sunday afternoon, and the kids and Hunter left, so I had time to just walk around the house, pull the blinds closed, just relax and try to keep the contractions coming. But towards the evening, the contractions had gone away, but then the contractions did end up coming back towards the evening, but they were like 1 every 2 hours and then 1 every hour. They weren't even that painful. I wouldn't describe them as super painful. They just felt like intense period cramps, and they did continue through the night, probably once every hour, sometimes every half hour. And then I woke up on Monday morning, Valentine's Day, and they were gone again. I had called my mom to come down on Sunday because my contractions were consistent throughout the day, and Malachi's labor was 4 hours long, so I wasn't sure what to expect. So I had already called my mom to come down on Sunday, so she spent the night at our house on Sunday night. And then on Monday morning, I had already had an appointment set up with my midwife to do another membrane sweep because they had already done one on Friday and told me that I could come again on Monday to get it done again if Fridays didn't take. So anyway, Monday morning, Hunter's sister comes over to watch the older kids, and my mom, Hunter, and I all went to the birth center, which is about an hour away from my house. We get to the birth center around 9 o'clock, 9:30-ish, and I just told my midwife, I looked at her and I was like, listen, in 3 days, if I don't have this baby, I'm gonna have to be induced at a hospital. I also know that your water can stay broken for about 3 days before you have to get induced at a hospital. So please, I had contractions yesterday, they went away, but please just break my water because then I feel like something is gonna happen. And she told me, well, how about you go into the birthing suite, use your breast pump, get contractions started again, and then I'll be okay with breaking your water. So I was totally fine with that. But she wanted to do a cervical check first to make sure that I was even far enough along to have my water be broken. And when she did the cervical check, guys, I was 8 centimeters dilated already. That's crazy to me because they weren't even that painful, but it gets painful later. But I can't believe that, 8 centimeters. So apparently the Sunday contractions were working. They were doing something. They just couldn't get my labor to start enough for him to really engage and want to come down the birth canal. So yeah, I was very, very excited about that. I was not expecting that at all. And I was super excited at this point because I know that when you're at the hospital and you're 8 centimeters, they tell you to go ahead and start pushing. So I'm like thinking in my head, okay, I'm gonna get these contractions started and then boom, an hour later he's gonna be here. It didn't work that way, but it was fairly quick. So after we get into the birthing suite, I get my phone out and I put on Grey's Anatomy. I start using the breast pump and the contractions, sure enough, started. I was just laboring for a while, just watching Grey's Anatomy, bouncing on a birth ball, using my breast pump. And that's how I stayed for about an hour or 2 hours maybe. And then she did break my water at that point, but it took a long time. She said that I had a really tough water bag. And she also said that I had a ton of water. Because you do like a 41-week ultrasound to measure the level of your fluids and stuff, they say that normally it's around a level 5 of water, and mine was at a level 14. I'm not really sure what that means, but that sounds like a huge difference to me. But she said that that's probably why my body just wasn't continuing the labor, because his head couldn't engage because there was just so much water. He was just floating around, which is crazy to me because I felt like my belly was super low at the very end of pregnancy. So I just assumed that his head was engaged. And she had a really hard time breaking my water, which ended up making a lot of scratch marks on Isaac's head. And she felt so bad about that. She even told me, she's like, I really hope I'm not scratching his head, but man, you have the toughest water bag that I've ever seen. Anyway, after my water was broken, the midwife showed Hunter how to do the rebozo sift to try to get him in a little bit of a better position, because she seemed to think that his head was tilted or looking the wrong way, but he wasn't posterior, but he might have been just like a little bit cockeyed. They did the rebozo sift for a little bit, for a couple contractions, and while the tub was filling up, because I asked them if I could just So after the tub was filled up, I got into it and I was still attached to my breast pump. I was still pumping switching every 5 minutes to each side. And then after a couple minutes, like probably 5-10 minutes in the tub, my contractions kept up on their own. And I did stay in the tub for 2-ish hours, I think. And the last hour and a half was super painful. That was, I think, transition. I had my combs for my hands to kind of distract myself from the pain. I don't really know if that worked as far as making it less painful, but it did give me something to focus on. And I just my arms were up here like this, and I just held on to the combs really tight every time a contraction would come. My shoulders and arms were the thing that was the most sore afterwards, and they were sore for weeks, like weeks after I had him. But yeah, during transition, I just kept asking the midwife, I was like, can I push yet? When can I push? Because I'm still thinking if I was at a hospital, they'd be telling me to push already. But she was like, your body will tell you when to push. You push when your body tells you to push. I liked that answer. At the same time, I didn't like that answer because I just wanted him out. But I was like moaning through my contractions, and then all of a sudden there was a contraction where I was moaning, and then halfway through it switched to a and I just started pushing. And pushing was the best thing ever. That was amazing. I don't know. I've heard that some people hate pushing and some people love pushing. I loved pushing because it felt like I could actually work with my body and do something instead of just letting this pain happen to my body. I was actually able to work with my body and work with the pain to push out Isaac. And it was the best feeling ever. Like taking a giant dump. It felt the same way. I told Hunter, I think in between pushes, I told Hunter, it feels like I'm pooping out a bowling ball. Arya's over here on the couch listening to me. But that's honestly what it felt like. And when he came out, he had the cord wrapped around his neck twice, and then Hunter helped take the cord off. Hunter did help lift him up out of the water to be on my chest too. He was very, very purple when he came out, and it freaked my mom out because we forgot to tell her that water babies take a little bit longer to breathe because they don't get acclimated to the air as quickly as babies who are above water. But he started to cry very soon after he came out, and then my mom was fine. But it was beautiful. It was amazing. My total labor was probably like 5 hours long-ish, but that doesn't include the random contractions that I was having on Sunday during the day or anything. But he was here at 3:13 p.m., 21.5 inches long, 8 pounds, 4 ounces. I was so excited about that. I wanted an 8-pound baby and I got one. But after he came out and was on my chest for a little bit, then I was like, oh wait, what is it? And so the midwife picked him up, turned him around to me, and was like, I'll just turn him around. And I'm like, oh, it's a boy. And Hunter was laughing at me because of how surprised I was that it was a boy. Anyway, after he was here, there was only 3 people in the room with me whenever he was during the whole process. Like there was the midwife in training, and the nurse, and then Hunter and my mom. That was it. That was all the people that were around me the whole entire time, and it was so nice. They checked his heart rate with just a heart rate Doppler the whole time and made sure that he was fine, and it worked well, and I didn't have to be hooked up to any IVs or anything. It was so nice, so nice. And after he came out, they, like 3 people, I don't even remember who all it was, but 3 people helped me out of the tub and over to the bed, and that's where I delivered the placenta, over there. After that, they told me that we would wait about an hour or so for us to get acclimated and whatnot. And then after that, they came back in to do the newborn exam. And for that, they just took him like a foot down the bed. I was always able to reach out and touch him. He was always right on the bed or on my chest. It was the most beautiful birthing experience I have had so far, and I think it honestly has helped me a lot postpartum. We were able to go home that night from the center, so the kids were able to meet him. We're all just so in love with little Isaac, and I am just so glad everything worked out, and I'm honestly very surprised that everything worked out pretty close to what I was envisioning. It's been amazing, and I feel very blessed and very thankful. I will have a video coming out, who knows when at this point. With 3 kids, life is very busy right now, but I do want to post a video in the future about the differences between a hospital and a birth center, because there's a lot of differences and there's a lot of thoughts I have on that, but I do want to send that video out for you guys at some point. But there it is. There's my birth story. Finally filmed it 5 weeks late, but it's here. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Keep smiling, keep finding the joy. Thanks guys, bye!
Oh, that's gross.